I'd read things like this very, very rarely. It was a script about a female anti-hero, which, you know, who we're with the whole time. As much as sometimes you want to strangle Nancy, we are with her the whole time. And so much in cinema, we're expected to not only engage with and follow the male protagonist, who's a total anti-hero, but we're also expected to sort of fall in love with them, you know, and forgive the flaws. And that's so much more rare, I think, with female characters. And I love that Nancy is just, yes, in part an oddity, but also a relatable one, you know. I think we can all remember being in the playground and kind of behaving the way that she's behaving. There's not a huge, although she's sometimes doing terrible things, it's not a huge stretch of the imagination to believe that you could end up in that position. What's really beautiful about Nancy's relationship with Leo and Ellen, are the couple that she essentially answers, or she, I think, believes in huge part that she could be their child Brooke, who'd gone missing years ago and has died, or has not died, but has gone missing and is presumed perhaps dead, has never been found. And so she goes and meets the family, and it's this strange reunion. And for all of them, it's so difficult for Nancy because she's being accepted and loved for the first time. And I think that just makes her want to crawl out of her own skin, you know, because she hasn't been in that situation before. And it makes her feel like she wants to bolt or kick against things or shake things up, you know, rather than just fall into it and, you know, finally have the family she's always wanted, this literary family who, like, play vinyl in the evening and live in quite a sort of, like, upper middle class, posh-looking house, upstate New York.
Yeah, the glass of wine is like that seems such a huge thing.
It's precious. Everything's precious. It's all of her time in that house with Ellen. That time is probably the best in her life. She's sort of she is the product of a social media age, and desperate for human connection, is going about it in all of the wrong ways, like pretending that she has experienced horrible trauma, had a miscarriage, and meeting men on these websites who've also are going through the same grief. She's lonely in a very intense relationship with her mum in the house, and sort of has such a strong fantasy brain. You know, one of my favourite parts of the film is when Nancy's explaining to her co-workers, and this is an example of the levity that Christina writes with. She's explaining to her co-workers, or she's telling them about a holiday in North Korea that she's just come back from. And she believes it wholeheartedly and, you know, knows she's totally lying at the same time. But she can imagine, you know, she's sort of like set out a landscape in her mind of what happened and where she took the pictures and seeing the dear leader. Consciously or unconsciously, again, Christina was writing a story about the whole age of disenfranchised young people who can't move out of their homes, perhaps need to, but they can't afford to. They sort of lack purpose, but have an avatar online who represents their fantasy life, you know, the on social media, and are dealing with loneliness. You know, it's a sort of an exploration of loneliness, which sounds like a barrel of laughs. Everyone come see it. It's